Hello, I'm Colin Jacobs, Managing Director of the social media agency Immediate Future. Values are fundamentally important to our business. They're what make us, they run through our business, and we're fortunate enough to have a team that police them and live them on a day-to-day basis. So when we knew World Values Day was coming up, we just had to participate. So we got together with one of our clients, Fujitsu, and asked their digital marketing manager, Jim Millen, for his thoughts on values. His wife is an entrepreneur and a startup businesswoman, and Jim has the perspective of creating and helping to drive values for an enterprise level business. We also roped in a friend of the agency, marketing strategist Paul Hewitt. Formerly, he was a marketing manager for one of the UK's largest creative agencies. Today, he's a playwright and a scriptwriter in his own right. In fact, following a play called Nude that was on in London receiving great acclaim, the BBC have just given him a wedge of cash to go and write a new play for them. When asked about values and the importance of them, this is what Jim and Paul had to say.
Okay, go.
You're a part of a business.
Right, yeah. So I think from the point of view of how important it is for businesses to be value-led, I think it's absolutely critical. People often think about values in the context of social responsibility and employee engagement. All that stuff is fantastic and obviously very valuable. But I think the real value comes in values driving a very consistent experience for the customers for that organisation. So if you have strong values that all the people in that organisation know and understand and are very close to, then no matter which bit of an organisation the customer engages with, they're going to get the same experience, and hopefully those values are driving it to make it a positive experience.
That's right.
So yeah, I think that's the real value.
And I suppose also from an employer brand perspective, the values become, I think the values sort of sit at the centre. They become something for everything. They become a benchmark. They become a measurement tool. Actually, have I employed that person on this value and this value? Do they have this value and this value? Or even from a comms and marketing perspective, actually, are we communicating with our customers on this value and this value and this value? And if you measure everything against it, I think that's when the brand can become extraordinarily consistent across both an employer brand and a consumer brand too.
Yeah.
We're so clever. Sorry. No, I think it's there from the beginning. I think it's there right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I think your business is brought. The one person in the startup, for example, an entrepreneur, sets his or her businesses up on the premise of, on a foundation of principles, right? And then from there you go, and those values might grow. There's no denying that. Those values might say, right, okay, well, we're 20 people now and we've turned into a different sort of business. Our values need to grow with us. Yeah. But I think if you remain sort of loyal to your own brand values, then actually you can just keep building from there, can't you?
Definitely. In my wife's case with her business Periwinkle and Clay, I think the values are very important to her. I think she's very focused on quality, her attention to detail, the creativity inherent in it, and the service she provides for customers. But I think the difference with a small organisation, in her case it's just her, then it's in her head.
Yes.
And it's very inherent because essentially the brand is her, so she lives it, is how she lives her life, so it's a lot easier. I think, certainly from what I observed, the big challenge with internet companies and very rapidly scaling startups is it's suddenly gone from an organisation where everybody knows each other and everyone inherently sort of gets instilled with those values to one where suddenly they've got 1,000 employees, and how do you then adapt to that context?
That's right.
I think that's something that maybe some of the darlings of Internet 2.0 who get mentioned in a lot of speeches maybe are struggling with at the moment.
Yes, because I suppose they have to sort of employ on scale rather than values, and but that presents its own problems. Because actually you'll find in those companies that the employee turnover will be way higher because actually they've not created a family, they've created sort of disparate groups of people that have different agendas, and actually they need to adhere to those values, and they should be adhered to in appraisals. I mean, if you're one person, then I'll appraise myself. But she'll build on there are lots of people that have lots of brilliant skills, and often I think in interviews and things like that, what's missing in that is to show a bit of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you connect with people very differently. It's a bit of empathy there, actually.
Very much empathy, yeah.
Yeah, because people then hire people that, sometimes people will hire people, they might not have all the skills, but they can see the potential in that person.
Absolutely.
And so they'd rather take that person, the person that would have 2 years experience.
Yeah.
Because they match the value, that person's values, the principles.
And I think, absolutely, that role of empathy and being really in tune. And I was actually, funnily enough, just the other day, I was hearing from a presentation about one of the Fujitsu Group companies, actually, where they've changed the hiring process to include a lot more of the potential colleagues.
Oh, right.
So you think of you think of recruitment as being very much your managers will interview you and recruit you. Whereas this is making it much more the other way around, and actually getting feedback on who their co-workers will be.
Yeah.
Of, does this person fit? Do they have the right attributes, the right behaviours, the right the right way of approaching the job to make them a really perfect fit?
And I think that goes too far sometimes. There's those like colour tests, or those you're blue or.
Yeah.
Have you heard of those? Those colour things where they're
I know what you mean. Yeah,
they're like,
a little esoteric.
you're a blue person. Well, you're not going to fit an And that's I think that goes a bit too far. But it's a balance of both, isn't it?
Very
but
much
that's
so.
very interesting about fitting into the team, because that does make your life happier. And I suppose in a world where job turnover is quite high, there's lots of research around. Younger people especially moving from job to job because of growth is I think that actually helps retention. That's loyalty and that what's there. Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
So I think there's obviously, when you talk about it like a human resources exercise with values, there's a lot of stuff that people come up with. Okay, we'll do communications to employees, and we'll do road shows, and we'll do all that sort of stuff. And again, all that stuff has a place. It is useful, but ultimately for me, the only way you can really reinforce your values is walk the walk with it and make those values an inherent part of how the business runs. So it runs through your strategic decisions, it runs through your investment decisions, it runs through, like we've just been talking about, who you hire, and everything. And ultimately I feel that's actually the only way.
It is. And the disconnect between them being not adhered to is when HR is a siphoned off department in a basement somewhere, in HQ. If everyone's not connected and everyone's following the same thing. I think that's right. Sometimes it's seen as a marketing-led thing in a business, and sometimes it's seen as a HR-led thing in a business. And sometimes they do it both, and they do it separately, and they go off in their own siphons and do it, and then every team has their individual thing, and actually, it needs to be more collaborative than that.
Absolutely, and I think, again, if you think of the customer experience that happens in that situation, is disastrous, isn't it? Because
absolutely, so that seeps into the employee experience too, which sits right at the centre. Like if your employees aren't attached to your values, then they're not going to sell those values, which is what goes outward. And so I think there's a business join up thing there, which I mean that's affected by many things. People, it's often physical barrier, like they're in a different room or a different building, or but I think technology, like social media actually has a part to play in that. Those tools and making everyone closer and collaborative, and combining that with a physical social presence too. But that's often something that's missing. Because you have lots of different offices, don't you?
We're quite a distributed organisation. I think it's absolutely the right combination of virtual and physical. I think when remote working first came in, everyone got very excited about it and thought we could be sort of globally distributed organisations who never get together in person. That just does not work. You have to have personal contact. You have to have face-to-face relationships. You have to build that rapport and empathy again. But yeah, it's using the technologies in the right way. So indeed, you can as an organisation, you can use your time better. So you have time when everyone is together, and you use that for the stuff that needs you to be together.
Yeah.
And you have the other things you need to do. Where if you need creative individual time, you've got the freedom to do that. And you use the technology tools to stay together as much as you can. So absolutely, yeah, I think it's the right balance of all of it.
Yeah.
Not going too far one way or the other.
No, because then you can alienate people, can't you? There are people that I remember a conversation in Kamarama about introverted and extroverted workers, for example. You know, like about being in an open plan office to being in a sort of more walls based office. Because actually there's some people that prefer to work as an introvert. That prefer to work in, we used to have these sort of booths. Sure. So we had our main desk, and then we had lots of other working spaces, and lots of people would spend all day in a booth because they preferred, not to have someone over their shoulder or something like that. And that's quite interesting. Those things in terms of values and how that again seeps into your physical working environment too.
Yeah, and I think it's about respecting that fact that people are different.
Yeah,
and how
that's right.
And how they prefer to work, and it is. And I think enlightened employers and organisations now are saying, not everyone's different. So let's reflect that. Let's create our spaces, create our environments to help them out a bit.
That's right. One of my favourite recruitment campaigns was there's an advertising agency called BBH. And they always say they look for the black sheep. Their logos are black sheep, and they have this image of. You've probably seen it actually. There's a lot of white sheep, and then they have that one black sheep. They look for the black sheep, and that's a really interesting. It's an interesting value, but it's an interesting proposition to someone. And what makes you the black sheep, and how that's defined. That conjures up so much creativity in a person anyway. That's a really interesting way.
No, definitely. So as both a marketeer and someone who works for a technology company, I think this is a value that is something that I do share with Fujitsu as a corporation, which is the use of technology in a way that focuses on the human.
Right.
Because I think there's a lot of technologies at the moment that are really in a place of not exactly threatening, but really poised to change the relationship that people have with each other and with technology. Things like AI, Internet of Things, robotics, automation. The world is changing at this massively fast rate, and I think there's a real risk that when technology is exploited for its own sake, or purely in the interest of profit, or anything like that, then we can very rapidly find ourselves in a place where we don't understand the consequences, and they maybe aren't consequences that are good for people. So I think that sort of real relentless focus on technology as a force that needs to drive good for people, I think that's something I absolutely get behind.
And how's that practiced across? Is that a standard value for Fujitsu? How's that practiced across the?
So I think that's absolutely fine. So I think again, it's just ultimately it comes back to conversation. It's conversation with each other inside the company. It's sort of talking to each other about, right, well, we're thinking about doing this. How will that affect our customers? It's talking to our customers. It's understanding what they are thinking, what they are trying to do. As certainly in the UK, as a company who largely are selling to other companies, it's quite often thinking about our customers.
Right.
So again, thinking about their challenges, understanding what they're trying to do, and really trying to sort of apply the technology in a way that again leads to a real improvement for them. I think certainly, again, being a Japanese company by heritage, there is a real focus on that technology as a force for social good that flows down through it's a very long-term view. I think sort of quite a lot of discussion and strategy and dialogue in the technology world is, well, what's next week? Well, what's next month? It's on a very short time scale, whereas Fujitsu thinks a little more in terms of decades. What's going to be 2030, and what's the world going to look like then, and how can we start to shape that technology to mean that in 2030 people are doing okay.
Yeah.
It's more that sort of approach.
I think for me it's collaboration. I think as a writer, that inherently, that I am one part of the machine, or I'm one part of the whole thing that makes the product, or it's never you as an individual that makes everything. And I think I'm a huge socialist, so that's probably where it comes from. That sort of equality, really. As a writer who writes plays, my story can only be told if the director directs it, and the actors act it, and the designer designs it, the sound designer makes the sound, and the light designer does the light. And actually, in extension of that, the audience then has a job to make the story themselves too. So there's that sort of democracy in a way, in a collaboration. I think as a marketer, that's the same thing, because you're so connected to every other part of the business. And you have a responsibility of showing, again, bringing the audience in and giving them a sort of democratic view on what's going on internally. And it just means that everyone gets to shape everything, and actually everyone can have an idea, and that can grow, and that can be explored, and that no one is wrong.
No, absolutely.
Sort of it makes the environment very open.
Fascinating stuff. I don't know about you guys, but here in the office we could listen to Paul and Jim all day. Hopefully you've been given some food for thought and already considering about how your own values get applied and how you can evolve them and bring them to the front of your businesses. As always, if you've got any questions at all, just jump onto any of our social feeds, bob us a question, and a member of the team here will be glad to answer for you. But for now, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.